We often think of reality as something fixed and objective, but the way we perceive the world is much more flexible. Through mental shortcuts, social validation, and the need to belong, we create frameworks that shape what we believe, how we interpret knowledge, and ultimately how we view ourselves. Welcome to Social Theory Today, where we explore how social accreditation influences our understanding of reality. Framing is how we interpret and present information to make sense of complex situations. These frames are built on mental models, our internal maps of reality shaped by our culture, experiences, and education. They're like simulations our brains use to help us quickly sort and understand new information. Sociologist Erving Goffman introduced frame analysis to explain how these frames organize our everyday experiences. According to Goffman, frames aren't just personal mental tools, they're influenced by the social world around us. Just as a map helps us make sense of physical space, social accreditation shapes our understanding of social norms and values. Maps and social accreditation systems are both frames that simplify reality to help us navigate complex environments. Through Social Accreditation Theory, or SAT, we see frames as socially validated shortcuts that reflect shared beliefs and norms, influencing what we accept, believe, and value. When we choose to conform to or deviate from social norms, it's like choosing a particular path on a map, guided by what we know and what's socially validated. But what happens when our personal beliefs don't align with the frames we encounter? This is where cognitive dissonance comes in, the discomfort we feel when our beliefs, attitudes, or actions conflict. For instance, consider someone who values honesty but tells a lie to avoid conflict. This tension between beliefs and actions creates cognitive dissonance, leading them to rationalize their behavior or adjust their beliefs to ease the discomfort. SAT suggests that our need for social validation can amplify this discomfort, especially when we sense that our views or actions differ from group expectations. This pressure can prompt us to change our beliefs or behavior to match the group, even if it doesn't fully align with our private values. In this way, the need for social accreditation doesn't only influence our actions, but can also lead us to adopt beliefs that are popular rather than personally authentic. In our busy lives, we rely on heuristics, mental shortcuts that help us make quick decisions with little cognitive effort. Heuristics are faster and less demanding than structured, rule-based reasoning. These cognitive shortcuts often align with societal norms and values, forming what we call explicit accreditation when norms are consciously accepted, and implicit accreditation when they shape our unconscious beliefs. Take, for example, the availability heuristic. We estimate the likelihood of events based on how easily certain examples come to mind. After seeing news reports about airplane crashes, people may overestimate the risk of flying. Even though airplane travel is statistically very safe, our mind's vivid and recent examples of crashes make them seem more common than they are. This mental shortcut can influence our behavior, even if it doesn't reflect the actual risk. The Dunning-Kruger effect adds another layer. When people have limited knowledge, they're often more confident in their expertise. Picture someone who reads a few articles on a topic and suddenly believes they're an expert, unknowingly overestimating their understanding. Through SAT, we see how social validation can magnify this effect. When others validate our views, we may feel accredited by the group, reinforcing a false sense of authority. This tendency toward overconfidence can connect to how we navigate social identity. Remember that people often adjust their behavior to align with perceived group expectations through identity signaling and self-monitoring. This drive for alignment is further reinforced by binary thinking, which simplifies complex ideas into either or categories: good versus bad, insider versus outsider. This dynamic intensifies with schismogenesis, where in-groups reinforce their identity by emphasizing differences with out-groups. When social groups amplify distinctions between us and them, identity becomes tied not just to group belonging but to the exclusion of the other. Think of a high school rivalry where students rally around their school, not just by what it stands for but by positioning it against a rival. SAT reveals that binary thinking, driven by social accreditation, can push us to embrace in-group values and reject out-group ones to maintain belonging. Binary thinking and schismogenesis work together to validate specific values and beliefs within an in-group, often stigmatizing out-groups. This form of social accreditation shapes belonging, but also creates rigid frameworks that promote specific perspectives while sidelining others, reinforcing stereotypes. Collective illusions happen when a large group holds misperceived beliefs due to social pressures, misinformation, or misunderstandings of others' views. People often conform to perceived group norms, even when these norms are based on misunderstandings. Through SAT, we see that the need for validation and accreditation can lead us to conform to perceived norms. Over time, this creates belief and behavior cycles that reflect group pressure rather than genuine personal views. When widely accepted, these illusions take on a life of their own, as group members uphold them simply because they appear socially validated. When cognitive dissonance arises within a collective illusion, we often reframe reality to fit what seems socially acceptable. This might involve selectively accepting information, ignoring alternative viewpoints, or rationalizing beliefs to match group expectations. Imagine someone downplaying climate change concerns because their social circle dismisses it. Reframing helps reduce dissonance but can reinforce groupthink and collective illusions, creating shared misperceptions that seem validated simply because they're widely held. Recognizing these dynamics is essential to understanding the frames we use to interpret reality. SAT shows us that while frameworks and shortcuts make social interactions manageable, they also shape collective beliefs that govern our perceptions and judgments. Becoming aware of these influences is the first step in questioning collective illusions, challenging assumptions, and expanding our understanding of reality. Our reality is influenced not just by personal experience, but by social accreditation, framing, and validation. While these processes guide us, they also set boundaries. Through SAT, we learn that by examining our cognitive shortcuts and frames, we can start to question social norms, confront biases, and see beyond collective illusions. Thanks for joining us on Social Theory today. Stay with us as we explore more of the forces shaping our understanding of the world.